Your bones are popping out today.
So I'm very excited to see you. It is an evolution. No arrow compares to me. I'm a pianist and musician first and foremost. Worship yourself. Well, I'm obsessed with pop culture. The show must go on.
You are on the record with Fuse.
It's so nice to be back. I love Fuse so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. If there's a mood board for Born This Way, for the whole album, what would be on the board?
Well, musically, it is a mixture of very dark and heavy sledgehammering beats. I really have become quite strong and very aggressive and fearless and brave, and that is reflected in the music. I was so inspired by stadium rock. So these songs are very epic, but the subject matters are quite joyful. Like my previous work, shares sort of this yin and yang of dark and light, which is very much my personality in tandem with the album cover. Half motorcycle, half on the ride, and half woman, living halfway between reality and fantasy all times. I'd like to almost describe the album as a fantasy techno rock.
Yeah, it's very techno, very Eastern European, very dancey club, high energy.
Thank you.
That's what excites you right now.
Yes, it's what I'm inspired to make, and I'm just very drawn towards really strong metaphors like Judas or a Hair. One of the songs on the album, I write about how when I was young, I used to get yelled at by my parents to go back upstairs and change, and you can't go out wearing that, and how my hair and my identity was all the glory that I had as a young person, and going out with my friends was the only time I felt like I could truly express myself.
What about Government Hooker?
Oh, I love that song. So we started out with this very French, dark hip-hop beat. So we made it really, really fast. And it took on this completely new energy. And I've been sonically really wanting to push from 4 on the floor. It's a little bit of a different approach than I've taken in the past. There's a voice in the background when I'm singing, as long as I'm your hooker. And then the government says, back up and turn around. How much are you willing to be a puppet and a hooker, and how much more do you want to fight for what you believe in?
You're so much about liberation now and giving self-esteem and giving people freedom and the comfort to do what you want to do. Just let your freak flag fly. And you're talking about that in Born This Way. You know, God makes no mistakes. I mean, what a great line that is. Like, be whoever you want to be.
I think that's a really powerful lyric. But what's nice about that statement is it sort of annihilates any judgment, annihilates any prejudice right off the bat, and ultimately puts hope in something that is much greater. And you define beauty for yourself. The public does not define it for you. Society doesn't define your beauty. Your spirit and your faith defines your beauty.
The title, Born This Way, makes me immediately think about gay ideology. It's not a choice that you make, but this is just who you are. So, you know, how are you judging me, right? That's what you're
That's certainly part of it. Social justice is one of the most paramount things I think about every day on a daily basis, and thinking about, now that I have this voice, what is it that I want to say? Born This Way, yes, it addresses those issues. I do believe that the LGBT community was born this way. Yeah. I don't believe it is a choice. I don't believe that those in that community should be treated as less valuable by the government or by religion. These are absolute issues that I attack with Born This Way on that particular song and on some of the other songs on the record. But more importantly, what I would like to sort of challenge everyone to think about with a song like Born This Way is it's not just about the gay community, it's about everyone.
Right, of course.
And we don't have to create divisiveness when it comes to social justice. Let's all be together. Let's fight on equally. Equality cannot be reached if it's fought for in a divisive way. That is what Born This Way is all about.
When you go to the Monsters Ball and it's like a motivational sort of speech, I wonder are there things that happened to you as a kid that made you feel like, I want to stand up for the person who I felt like?
Well, I certainly wasn't part of the in crowd. I had, you know, my group of friends, but I got bullied and I got made fun of. I remember going to gym class one day and there was all kinds of profanity written all over my gym locker. Just mine. And it just said the most horrendous, awful things, ranging from sexual orientation to race, to religion, to social status. And it sticks with you and it hurt. And I went home and I cried and I didn't want to go to school. And I felt like in some way I was less valuable. And those stories and those memories that haunt me are what propel me into my relationship with my fans now. But the album is also really fun, you know.
It is.
I don't want to harp on the seriousness of the record too much, because I do want people to know that liberation through fun and through togetherness and through celebration of life is also part of what the record is about.
The fun part of the record, the upbeat, glorious part of the record, like they played me Edge of Glory, and they said Gaga watched her grandfather and her grandmother together, right? Your grandfather's last moments, and they're holding hands, and then he passed away. And it's this very upbeat, joyous song.
Celebration.
And I expected a ballad to come out of that.
I actually wrote part of the song before we got there, knowing he was going to pass, and then I finished the lyrics and finished the melodies after experiencing that moment. And
but why did you create a happy, upbeat song?
Because his life was glorious.
Yeah.
And because life is glorious. And when I saw my grandpa pass with my grandmother, what I saw was him looking into her eyes and saying, I won. I'm a champion at life. You and I kicked life's ass. The second verse is another shot before we kiss the other side tonight. I'm on the edge of something final we call life tonight. I believe that right before you kiss the other side, your life not necessarily flashes before you, but rather honors you and tips its hat and says, you did a good job. So the Edge of Glory is about rejoicing and living every moment as if it's your last.